The Grand Dame can never be duplicated, but she can apologize. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm Raphael and I'm here to review episode 10 of the Real Apologies of Potomac. So we start the episode off right where we left off between Candice versus Ashley, and Candice was just done calling Ashley a wide body, big forehead, big face, everything in the book, right? And everybody's in shock. Everybody's like, wow, Candice, like, what are you calling for her all of this for? And Ashley's like, wow, so now you're body shaming me. Now, since we're speaking of body shaming, now that's real body shaming. And I'm like, okay, Ashley, let's play devil's advocate here because, even though I don't agree with what Candice called you, you see, Ashley, you don't like receiving the heat, but you're so quick to go to somebody's trip for 2 hours, cause complete chaos, team up with Giselle and Robyn and try to be messy even though you're trying to be, a good friend and just trying to have a one-on-one conversation when you know exactly what you're doing. And you made Wendy feel bad about it. So I'm pretty sure Wendy didn't like feeling like that. So why would you want to make her feel like that when you don't like yourself feeling like that? And I was confused by Candice's apology because I guess she kind of calmed down a bit and she was just like, I just want to really apologize for calling you a big wide ass, and I'm sorry for that. Like, I didn't mean to attack your motherhood. I was just calling you wide. That's it. Out of anger. And I'm like, wait, Candice, what kind of half-assed apology is this? This is not an apology. And Ashley's like, that's not an apology. Like, what are you talking about? You always make fun of my face or make fun of everything else, but you never made fun of my body. And she's like, yeah, I always make fun of your big forehead. And I'm like, Candice, they're just having a casual conversation like this over drinks. Like, yes, I make fun of your forehead. What about it? Yes. And then Ashley is like, oh, well, I make fun of your hair that's dry all the time too. So they keep going back and forth. Ascala's in the middle, and Ascala's like, I'm always in the middle of everything. And she is. I never noticed that. She's always in the middle of somebody going back and forth with each other. But at least Candice tried to apologize. I mean, it was kind of like, 25% apology, but at least we got something out of it. Eventually, Gizelle breaks up the fight. She breaks the ice, and she's like, okay, I want to give a toast. I want to give a toast to my secret lover and my secretary, Robyn, over here. Okay, everybody listen up. And then she puts her drink up, and then she says the nicest words that Robyn has heard all season. I mean, even Juan, we're on episode 10, and we have not heard anything positive come out of Juan's mouth towards Robyn. And Giselle's just like, yeah, I just want to give a toast to my best friend. She's just so sweet. I love her hat collection, even though I had to do a couple returns because none of them really fit. And 2 of them were kind of, not really cute. And I really like that thing that you did, with your tongue a couple nights ago when we were on the trip. I wasn't supposed to say that. I'm sorry, Robyn. It's silly me. I'm sorry. It's the drink. She's like, yes, we're just so close and we're such best friends. And I really love her and nobody can really have my back the way she does. I mean, she's literally right there in front of me with sword and shield every single time somebody wants to fight me, especially Wendy or Karen. And I was actually glad to see Robyn get some type of positive critique or positive words, even if it came from Giselle, because again, we haven't seen Juan in who knows how long. I don't even know where he's supposed to be. I'm like, this is your birthday and you're not even celebrating with your husband or have a scene with your husband. Like, he doesn't say anything good about you. So, I mean, if the best you're gonna get is your friend Giselle, then so be it. So then Mia jumps into the conversation right after the toast and she's like, guys, I think I have like an idea. I think we're all gonna have like a goddess party and it's gonna be really cute. It's just, we're gonna have a picnic at a park. And Giselle, I have a message for you. Karen said that you need to apologize to her or else you can't eat lunch with us on Wednesdays. Yep. And then Giselle's reply to that was, yeah, she's crazy. Karen is never getting an apology from me. Tell her. And I'm like, oh, this is where you fucked up. This is where you fucked up, Giselle, again. Because Giselle was like, tell Karen that her and Ray will be dead before I ever apologize to her. And I'm like, why would you say that? I get it. One thing is different between the conversation that she had with her and Ray years ago. I understood that. But this one is just like, okay, wait a minute, Giselle. You're like, you're teetering on thin ice right there. I'm like, stop it. Even everybody else at the table was kind of uncomfortable with those words specifically that you chose to say. And I'm like, you could have said anything else. You could have just told Mia, like, well, tell Karen that she could shove her apology up her ass and I'm not giving her anything and I'll see that bitch at the reunion. But, instead you chose to use the word deaf again. I mean, you know how Karen was with that word the first time years ago now, that she's bringing up now for some reason. And you choose to use it again, but I mean, I guess. Then we head over to Karen where she's making a welcome video to represent Surry County, even though they're supposed to be filming in Surry County and it's not Surry County. And the producers made sure to tell us every 5 seconds that this is not Surry County, this is Potomac. I'm like, damn, the shady ass editors. But you know, Karen confirmed it on Twitter. I believe she did. She wrote that, oh, this was just kind of like a little pretend video, kind of like this was just kind of a pre-video before the actual official one. So they actually filmed the official video in Surrey County, allegedly. She starts filming around the gazebo of the park. The park looked cute, but again, it's in Potomac. Again, they made sure to hammer that in every 5 seconds. Like, this is Potomac, this is Potomac, this is Potomac. And she's filming, you know, the video's cute, and then she goes on the slide. She's climbing up the ladders. I'm like, Karen, get your big ass off of that. You're about to fall down and break your legs. Like, get off of that. I'm also like, you're in heels on top of that. Stop it. Like, you're too grown for that. But she goes on the slide and she's like, I'm having fun. I love Surrey County. And then we head over to Giselle's drive-through restaurant shaped house, and she's calling the girls her daughters, her 3 daughters that are in the kitchen. And she's like, Ben acá, Ben acá. And I thought she was, you know, I speak Spanish, so I thought she was saying it correctly, but what she really meant to say is Ben aquí. But, you know, the girls came in and they're like, I don't think you're saying it correctly. I'm like, you know what? When the 3 daughters are of age, you know, just give them a champagne flute for later seasons so they could go against Giselle, because Giselle is getting kind of nervous, kind of anxious, you know, that the girls are growing up and they're gonna have to experience certain things in life, and that comes with relationships. And they ask their mom, Giselle, they're like, so mom, do you ever want to get married again? And Giselle's like, no, not necessarily. No, I never want to respond to a man financially. And I'm like, that's an interesting, you know, way to look at it. Because again, just like I said in my reviews for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Erica, look what happened to her. She was with Tom all those years, and she was just kind of like getting an allowance from him. And then when everything goes down the drain, she kind of has no choice but to go down the drain with him. So, you know, make your own money, you know, establish your own self, and don't just always, you know, be attached to a man or be attached to your partner, you know, be your own person. And I love that Giselle was giving that advice to them. I mean, you could call Giselle a lot of things on this show, you know, but I feel like when she's with her daughters, she's so vulnerable and raw, and she gives us who she really is and not her character that she puts on for the show, you know, to be like the villain. I think conversations like this are very important because people do lose themselves in relationships, especially when their significant other is either rich or wealthy or has some type of money. All they see is dollar bills and dollar signs in their eyes. And then next thing you know, you're so far gone with this person, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have a control of my own life, and I have nothing to, you know, stand on my feet. You know, I always have to be on this person's back, or whatever they're doing, I have to kind of follow behind because I'm not really a person. I'm just kind of attached to them. So I love that Giselle was saying that, and she's like, you know, I don't want them to follow in my footsteps and my mistakes. And I really, really, really hope that Giselle is done with Jamal. I really hope we get to see her, you know, maybe dating, you know, other people in the future or something. Maybe that would, you know, bring something new to her life. Because if you go back to Jamal or continue, you know, messing around with him in any type of way, it's not good. Everything that you're telling them is just gonna be like, for what? And then we head over to Candice and Howie Mandel's house, and they're in the kitchen, and it's just an awkward tension in the room. You know, it's like, are they still talking, you know, after the whole thing last week? And Chris is drinking, and Candice is like, are you drinking again? And the Bravo producers, again, I swear, they will clown anybody, any chance they get. They were like, yeah, it's 4:50 in the afternoon right now. And he's like, yeah, because you're making me drink because of all the bullshit that you keep throwing at me. And Candice is like, well, I just want to know, are you going to be there at my music video, you know, for my new song, I'm Not Gonna Cry Anymore, I promise. And Chris is like, well, I don't know, you know, there's only a maximum of 30 people that could be there, so you could count me out. And Candice is like, really, you're not gonna go there? You're not gonna go there? And you know, it was very emotional for me when I saw Candice kind of tearing up and kind of, you know, backing down from Chris a bit. I'm like, oh, I think it's because I see a bit of me in Candice. I'm like, I don't know. It's just certain things that she does. I'm like, yeah, I do the same thing. So it's like, I completely understand what Candice is, you know, going through with these emotions. I know that she's not lashing out on Chris because she wants to. I think that she's just scared because this is a new project. This is something out of her element. She's going outside of her box, and she's trying to, you know, go for something that she wants. And all she wants is her husband to just be there supporting her. Not necessarily because he's the manager or anything, because I just think that she's just scared and she just wants him to be there to hold her hand while she goes through it. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like that. It was so cute when Candice was like, I'm sorry. I would have ran up to her if I was Chris. I'm like, come over here, baby. Give me a kiss. Like, Candice was so adorable. I'm like, oh, you know, it was nice to see that softer side to her. And Chris was like, stop, you're gonna cry and then I'm gonna cry and then we're both gonna need pointy napkins to poke our eyes with. Cut it out. And I can just tell that as soon as the cameras were done filming and everything was wrapped, that Chris and Candice probably went into the extra guest bedroom that they had for her mom and probably threw the cardboard cutout of her out the window, and they probably fucked all all inside the room after makeup sex. Like, whoo, I could already tell that they were probably fucking on the countertop of the bar, the kitchen, the staircase, the room upstairs, the bathroom sink, like everything. Then we head over to Wendy and her family, and they're at the park, they're playing around, they're having fun, but then the conversation turns serious between Wendy and Eddie, and Wendy's like, so have you had the conversation with the boys about everything that they've been, you know, kind of looking in the media? They have a couple questions, and Eddie's like, no, I really don't know how to explain everything to them pertaining the George Floyd case that was going on around the time. And Wendy's just like, yeah, we kind of have to have the conversation. And it was so heartbreaking that, you know, that they just come here to the park to have fun, to play around, maybe throw a ball here and there, just run around and be kids, right? And the fact that families have to have these type of conversations because, you know, cops can't control themselves and the world is just all types of messed up is very, very heartbreaking, especially when one of the sons was like, so wait, aren't the cops good? I thought, you know, they were supposed to protect us. So are we a threat if we go out there into society? That was so, so heartbreaking because, again, you know, as a young child, you know, I remember even from my experience thinking that, oh, being a cop was cool, or, oh, a cop is like the best thing to do. But now seeing what cops are capable of doing in broad daylight in public is kind of scary because, you know, again, you're taught as a young child like, oh, cops are there to protect you. They're there on your side. But in reality, when you get older, you start realizing, that's not really necessarily true. And it's just very heartbreaking for Wendy and Eddie to have these conversations with their children because, again, just like Eddie said, it's very hard to protect their innocence, especially in a day and age where we're all about social media, that even if you want to block them from seeing this, that, and the third in your own household, eventually when the boys are of age and they get a phone, they're going to be on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, and they're going to have to eventually see what society sees, you know, every single day. So there's no way around it, and that's the sad part. You can't really protect anybody's innocence nowadays unless you really, really, really have an eye on them. And even then, it's still not possible. Then we get a scene between Karen and Ashley, and Ashley also brings baby Dylan because Michael is too busy to babysit because he's too busy arguing with Robyn on whose turn is it to cuddle with Juan that night. And Karen is like, you know, I'm so glad that I don't really have to be a grandma right now, but I was thinking for abbreviation, instead of Gigi, I could call myself Diamond. And I'm like, what kind of players club is this? Karen jumps right in with telling Ashley of what really went down on the trip. She's like, I really wish that you were there. And I'm like, no, you don't. Because we already seen what Ashley could do in just 2 hours and all the chaos that she could cause. So imagine if she was actually there for 3 days, the whole house would have been burned down. And she's like, yeah, you know, Giselle and Wendy, they just kept going back and forth, but Giselle was really just trying to come at her confidence, and she just kept wiggling her fat vagina. And I'm like, Karen, enough with these vagina jokes. Like, it's just not cool to say that. It's really not. It's not funny. It's very cringy. It's very, like, just stop. You know, like, you could say anything else about Giselle, just like all the other women could say different things about themselves, but we don't have to stoop that low, in my opinion, to, like, say something about that. You know, Giselle, again, you may not really like her, but to comment on her vagina every 5 seconds is very, very strange. And she, you know, again, with the whole comment earlier, with the whole, oh, Robyn is always inside her bush, and now you're saying that she has a fat wiggling vagina, like, stop it. And Ashley, out of all people, she's like, oh, I want to be the peacemaker between you and Giselle. I kind of want to be in between y'all, and so you both could be best friends and, you know, sing Barney songs together. And I'm like, Ashley, who are you kidding? Like, stop it. Like, we can see right through you. We know what you're really trying to do. You probably just want to wedge them apart even more. You don't want any peace in this group. You just want chaos. And then we get Robyn in her leather pants, and they show up to the life coach's house. And I'm like, okay, let's see how the conversation goes here. Let's see how deep it gets. So they get inside and they sit down on the couch, and the life coach is like, you know, Robyn, even though I Googled your salary and it says that you've been on The Real Housewives for 6 seasons, and I kind of know what Andy pays you, I'm just going to sit here and pretend like I don't know you. So just tell me about yourself. And Robyn is like, well, I run a Amazon warehouse where I sell hats, and I'm not sure if they're really selling. I'm not even sure if they're really cute, but I'm going to say, do you want one? Actually, I'll give you a discount of 50%. maybe 40. Actually, no, 60 since you're my life coach. You know what? I'll just give you a free sample. She's like, oh yeah, I had somebody rob me of money 5 years ago and I just feel like I never really recovered from that. And that was a personal friend, so I'm not sure how I would even deal with a personal stranger. And I'm like, I can understand what she's saying, and they play that flashback and it's so heartbreaking to see Robyn, have an emotional breakdown like that. It's very sad. And the life coach is giving her advice like, you kind of just have to risk it, basically. You have to just kind of, trust yourself and trust your business, or else your business is never gonna grow. And then Robyn also adds in that she has a fiance slash husband, and she's like, yeah, we're planning a wedding, but he doesn't really see it for my hat business, but he's so quick to motivate Michael for his videos that he wants to produce and everything, but he's not really there for me. And then the life coach is like, wait. You have a fiance slash husband? So are you planning a wedding? And Robyn was just like,
who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Who had been saying that?
Robyn was quick to tell her, oh, relax, lady. He's just my roommate. Like, this is nothing serious. This is just a storyline. Relax. Let's not put labels on this. And she's like, yeah, Juan just doesn't tell me nice things about myself. And I just wish that Robyn would just curse Juan out just one good time. Just one good time. That's all he needs to shut the hell up. Because, he stays disrespecting Robyn. And Robyn's like, he was at a low at some point in his life 5 years ago. And I never came at him crazy. I never made fun of him or never bashed him. And he's always bashing me. He's always telling me that my breath smells in the morning. He says I need to clip my toenails, that my fashions aren't good. He says all types of crazy things to me. And I'm just, Robyn, I just feel like you will do so much better. You will blossom much better if you maybe just let go of Juan, honestly. Maybe go to Las Vegas for a girls trip with Giselle and see what comes out of that. Because Juan, I don't know, it just seems like he's kind of like an anchor in your life at this point, because he doesn't say anything good about you. And until I start seeing something good come out of his mouth towards you, I don't know if I could see him differently. We finally get the goddess picnic that Mia is throwing for all the women. And I'm like, you couldn't have it anywhere else. I mean, the women were basically rock climbing at this point to get to the picnic, because there was a bunch of rocks on different levels. Or at least tell them, don't wear high heels because you might break your ankle trying to walk on here. You could have wore flats or sandals or something. All the women start arriving one by one. First it was Karen, then Wendy, Ashley, Oscala, and so on. And of course, Ashley brought her baby again. And I'm like, where is Michael in all this? But maybe she likes enjoying, her time with baby Dylan, so that's no problem. And then eventually Giselle shows up, and if I was Wendy, I would have been like, oh, I'll help you over the rocks. Oops. There you go in the river. I'm so sorry. I slipped. Let me help you. Come, give me your hand. Oh, you're drowning. Oh, you're drowning. Oh, I'm so sorry, Giselle. Here, let me help you up. And then Candice shows up and Robyn shows up last. And Robyn, Wendy, and Oscala, all three of them were the best dressed at this picnic. And Mia gives each one of them a headpiece, like a flower crown type of thing. So as they're all sitting down and talking, Giselle looks over at Candice and she's like, Candice, what's with this hairstyle? What's going on? And Candice is like, oh, it's for my music video. I'm kind of going for a 70s vibe to it. And Giselle's like, so are we invited to the music video? And this is what killed me. This is what had me dying, because Candice is like, yeah, girl. And then Giselle's like, oh, so is everybody invited here, including Ashley? And Candice is like, no. That whisper that she did, she was like, no. She said it so like, yeah, she's not invited. So then Mia tells all of them that they're all gonna go around in a circle and they're all gonna say something nice that they like about the other person. And I'm like, oh, let's see how this goes. So we start off with Ashley, and Ashley has to do Candice. And Ashley's like, I like your napkins. No, that's a bad one. Your music video is cute. No, it's not. Your song is catchy. No. I like how you're so, motivated to, the sky is blue, and I have a TV at home, and baby Dylan I think he just pooped, and the sandwich is good, and I like Doritos, and yeah, so that's what it is, Candice. That's what I really like about you. I'm like, Ashley, what? If you don't spit it out. Like, it took everything for her and Candice to say something to each other, because then it's Candice's turn, and Candice is like, oh yeah, Ashley, so I really like, your motherhood and how you kind of planted yourself, or had somebody planted inside you for the matter. And I'm like, wait a minute, but Candice, weren't you kind of sort of mother shaming her sort of with her body. I mean, her wide body is the, reflection of her pregnancy. So what did you really mean by that? I mean, are you really happy that she's, into it, or you're not? I don't know. It was kind of tricky. Then it's Robyn's turn, and she does Karen, and she's like, Karen, even though you're Karen, I still like that you're able to laugh at yourself. And then here comes Karen. Karen was so quick with it because Karen was like, you know what? Actually, Robyn, I actually learned to laugh at myself from you. And I'm like, wait a minute, was that a dig? I felt like that was a backhanded compliment that Karen did to her. She kind of tossed it back at her, and I don't think that Robyn really saw it that way. I feel like she was personally trying to call her a clown. And Robyn's like, thank you. Then Robyn moves over to Wendy, and she's like, I really love that you're so passionate about your family. And Wendy does make a good point in her confessional. She's like, so wait, you love my passion for my family, but yet you support somebody, Giselle, who is trying to bash my family? Make it make sense. And I kind of agree. I'm like, Robyn, especially with everything that we kind of know now, that it was really Robyn who kind of brought this rumor up to the group. It wasn't really Giselle. Giselle kind of just put it out there on display, but it was really Robyn who first came to Wendy with the bullshit. She was the first one that came at her. So I'm like, oh, Robyn, I don't know about your comment. She kept it short. And then we move over to Escala, who tells Giselle, oh, I really like that you're so opinionated. And then she tells Karen that she really likes that she kind of took her underneath her wing. And then we get over to Giselle, and Giselle's like, oh, well, I'm not really gonna say anything good about Karen or Wendy because I don't really, like Karen right now. And Wendy, we haven't really talked. And Wendy's like, well, you haven't reached out to me either. And she's like, well, do you want to do it right now? And eventually they kind of like, put everything that they have to the side and just kind of like, well, I didn't believe the rumors. And Mia also confirmed. She's like, well, at the dinner where you weren't there because you weren't invited, she actually confirmed that she didn't believe the rumor. Giselle tells her that no, she's not the one that she's gonna try to break up a family or try to, spread some type of rumor. And Wendy's like, yeah, but you should have came at me first. You should have been talking to me one-on-one about it first. And Giselle actually admits that yes, that's the only thing that she apologizes, that after the conversation with Wendy and Ashley, that yes, she should have pulled Wendy to the side and would have had a one-on-one conversation with her to clear everything up. And Wendy's like, okay, I receive it. So, I think for the most part, they're okay now, and Giselle, again, she takes a dab at it. She's like, I'm not the homewrecker. The homewrecker is Karen. And I'm like, now why are we putting Karen in it? Karen is over there mid-bite with her sandwich, and she's probably like, oh, wait, what? Homewrecker. So then Candice jumps in and she's like, okay, so we're talking about a place of healing. Giselle, so what's going on with you? Like with the whole Jamal situation, like the binder situation, did that really affect you? Because I know Karen was a part of it. So what really went down? And did you actually know? And Giselle actually reveals to us that, yes, she knew that everything that Monique said in that binder and that Karen also jumped in on, that she already knew about it because apparently, from what she said to the producer, that Jamal's the one that told her all of this. And I'm like, I mean, you could just be protecting yourself from looking foolish on TV, or, I mean, Jamal did indeed actually tell you this to your face. I mean, I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that she knew before the reunion? I mean, I don't know. Knowing Giselle, she has a good poker face. Like, you'll never know that something's bothering her because she keeps a good straight face to her expression. But Giselle replies and she's like, no, I was hurt. I was very, very hurt. And I was like, wow. So we finally get some type of emotion, behind Giselle's walls, because her walls are always at a 10. So it was kind of nice to see them lower to like an 8. And she's like, I was very hurt by it. So were my daughters. My kids were very affected by it. Have the same vulnerability that you have with your daughters in front of the cast as well. It would be nice to see that for a change. And Candice was also shocked. She was like, wow, I have never heard Giselle ever, speak of her emotion or say that something bothered her. And then Karen jumps in and Karen's like, well, I love the children. I love the children. I love the kids. I love the children. I am Barney. I love the children. And I'm here for all the children. So, Giselle, if it bothered the children and if it hurt the children, I am sorry. Finally, we get an apology between Karen and Giselle. I'm like, okay, so that's 50%. Now, Giselle, just do your 50% so we can put this in the grave for now. And then Karen is like, well, okay, so since I apologize to you, Giselle, all I'm asking is for you to just respect what I'm going through and what I told you. And Giselle's like, well, I have no problem apologizing to you because I apologized to you 300 times. And Giselle's like, you know what? If it bothered you and in the respect of your family, I apologize and we could start with a clean slate. And I'm like, whew, finally. Let's see how long this lasts, because I don't see it lasting that much longer. I mean, it'll be nice to see Karen and Gizelle kind of joking with each other and being, best friends, or being somewhat acquaintances at least. Not best friends, but maybe friends and hanging out with each other or something. It'll be nice to see that, but I just don't see it lasting for too long. I'm pretty sure that Karen and Gizelle, they both picked up now, like, okay, we're rivals when it comes to this TV thing, so that's just gonna be a thing forever. But it'll be nice to see them be friends. And that was the episode, y'all. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that Gizelle and Karen and Wendy are gonna stay cool for the remainder of the season? I mean, I don't know. It would be nice to kind of see them be friends, even for an episode or two. But this is Housewives, and on the Housewives, you can't be best friends all together. There needs to be some drama. And what I'm very curious about is, where does the whole Candice versus Mia thing come into play? Like, where does that come from? What is it that gets said? I mean, we'll have to see what happens as the season goes on. But let me know your thoughts on this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.